everybody, and welcome. My name is Chris Jacobs, and I am your host for another episode of the USO MVP Military Virtual Programming, where we bring you all of your favorite luminaries from the world of movies, television, and in today's case, sports, and it is Olympic sports. All three of my guests today represented our country at the 2020 Olympic Games in Tokyo this past summer. Of course, because of the pandemic, took place in 2021, but we're still calling the 2020 Olympics. Please welcome Olympians Katie Ledecky, Allison Schmitt, and Zach Harting. Hey, Katie. Hey, Allison. Zach, how you guys doing?
Good. How you guys doing?
Appreciate you being with me today. I'm sure that you guys are going to be well received by our audience. We're going to be actually going to two locations today in Japan, both high schools, and they've got a bunch of questions for you guys. But I'm going to start things off by saying if you'd like to ask any of my three guests some questions today, please use your chat box. Tell us who you'd like to ask the question of, who you are, and where you're asking from, and we'll get to as many of those as possible. Guys, like many of our countrymen, I was riveted to the screen this past summer. Congratulations to all three of you on making the Olympic team. And Katie, let's start with you. You being the female record holder for most gold medals and second only to Michael Phelps overall. Just incredible accomplishments. Congratulations. How is this latest Olympics for you personally?
Well, thanks for having me. It's great to be here and great to talk to everyone from around the world, I know. So thanks for tuning in. And it was so much fun this past summer competing at the Olympics with Zach and with Allison. We had a really great time just supporting each other and being at the Olympics. As you said, it was delayed. And so we really, I think we're even more grateful for the opportunity to be there. And it's always an honor to represent Team USA. And so Team USA and USA Swimming did a really great job in Tokyo. And I was really proud of my teammates and happy with my performances as well.
Third Olympics for you, Katie and Allison. The fourth Olympics for you. You and Katie have actually won a medal together on a relay team. How was your experience? 10-time medalist at the Olympic Games, Allison Schmitt.
Thank you. It was, like Katie said, this past year has had obstacles for everyone all over the world, and to have the opportunity to represent the U.S. at the Olympics was just a complete honor. And anytime we can wear the American flag on our cap is a complete honor. So, I mean, I still can't put into words how it felt, but I'm honored to be an American, and thank you for having me on this call.
And Zach, our rookie of the group, your first Olympic team there in Tokyo. How was that experience for you?
It was a big eye-opener. It was a lot of fun. There's a lot of different things that I learned, and I thought I had some really good international experience beforehand, but there's always something to learn. This was the Olympics. This was the big one. This is the one that we wanted since we were 7. So we were just trying to be like a sponge and soak everything up, and it was an experience I'll never forget.
Was it frustrating for you having to wait a year? You make the team, and then the pandemic kind of throws the world into a tailspin.
Yeah, I think the atmosphere that at least Team USA had, and I think a lot of other countries too, and all the athletes, was just kind of like a feeling of gratitude, just to be able to go and compete, because everyone wants to go to the Olympics, and we didn't know if we were going to have that opportunity, and so just be able to go there and compete, even without spectators, that was the big thing, is that we were still we were able to go there and do our part. And we knew that the country was behind us, watching online or wherever they were. So that was the cool part about that.
Yeah, in spite of no spectators, you had a lot of spectators, as you said, both online and watching on TV, like myself. And I'm sure that the questions we're about to get from some of our viewers, they were watching closely too. We're going to go to our first live location, guys. This is at let me make sure I say this correctly, Kubasaki High School in Camp Foster in Japan. Welcome, you guys. How you doing?
Hello. Welcome to Kubasaki High School. We are located on a Marine base in Okinawa, Japan. Our students move about every 3 years, so we miss out on a lot of opportunities that they would have if they were in the U.S. So we're very thankful to the USO and the US Swim for giving our kids this opportunity. With that, I'll turn the questions over to our students.
Fantastic. We're very happy to have you joining us today. Who's first? Tell us who you are and what your question is.
I'm Dawson Cook. I'm a swimmer here. My favorite event is the 100 IM. And my question is, how would your coaches and teammates describe you?
Zach, let's start with you. How would your coaches and teammates describe you?
Well, I hope that they would say I'm the loud, obnoxious, and I'm the fun guy, bringing up the energy at practice. Obviously, not every set that we do is fun or feels the best when you're doing it, but that's what makes you better is pushing through that. And when you push through with your teammates and have them supporting you, and you're supporting them, that's when you really get better. And so I like to be the guy that kind of drives that. It's like, hey, I'm not even trying yet. Like, you guys are good, right? We're good. It's like that's in the middle of the set when you're huffing and puffing. So just trying to bring up the energy. So that'd be me.
Allison, what about you? How would your coach and teammates describe you?
I would probably be around the same, loud and fun. I think Zach is a little more crazy than I am. But just like Zach said, we like to keep things light and fun. And swimming can be a very grueling sport at times, especially practices. And so enjoy the time you have with your teammates. Those are the friendships you're going to have forever. Those are the memories you're going to keep forever. So I like to keep it fun and play games a lot in practice. Do the work, but as well as I'm doing the work, make it fun in a way of sorting out a game.
What about you, Katie?
Yeah, well, since I'm going third, I'd have to say that Zach and Allison's descriptions of themselves were perfect. And since we all know each other as teammates, I feel like maybe we should be describing each other, but they did a perfect job. And those two are so much fun to be around. I'm glad I get to spend this bit of time with them. I think my teammates would probably describe me as focused and determined, and I try to be really supportive and fun on the pool deck as well. I'm maybe not as crazy as Zach and not as loud as Schmitty, but I always try to play my part on whatever team I'm on.
Hey, that was a great question, man. We appreciate you there. Who's next?
Hi, I'm Adria. I am a long distance swimmer and swim the 200 IM. I like to swim the 200 IM. My question is, what was one of your discouraging moments as a swimmer and how did you overcome it?
Katie, let's start with you this time. Discouraging moment as a swimmer, and how did you overcome it?
Well, I'm so happy to hear that you are a distance swimmer, because that's what I am. So I think some of the discouraging moments can be those times where maybe you aren't at your best, or you're not at your best, so maybe you're sick or you're injured or something like that. So I've had a couple meets where I've been sick and I've had to deal with that. And I think the way I have dealt with it is just to rely on my support around me, my teammates, my coaches, and they're the ones that can uplift you and help you get back on track and get back to focusing on what's important and being healthy and all of those little things. So I think the biggest advice I could give is just to rely on your teammates in any difficult times.
Yeah, thank you.
Zach, any discouraging moments?
Yeah, I don't think you can go through sports and not have some. I was at World Juniors in 2015, and I swam on the last day. And so the whole time I was just like sitting there watching everyone else, and I was getting all excited. Came my turn to race. I almost missed the final. I qualified 8th, and by like point something, could go to finals. Ended up placing 5th. I was really wanting to go and place like top 3, get a medal. And so I was kind of disappointed with that. And so I wasn't happy with the time because I went slower than what I qualified to get to that meet. And so what I did was, because I knew 5th for at Junior Worlds was still solid. So I told the coach I was venting to. I'm like, all right, the clock's at the 15. I'm going to be as negative as I possibly can until it gets to the top. And then after that, I'm just going to drop it. I'm going to be happy with what I've done here. And so that's what I did. I got everything out. And then I as soon as it reached the top, I was done and kept looking forward and try to be positive about it.
I love that. Since swimming is so based on time and how you do within a certain time, giving yourself 15 seconds just to be bummed about it, it's a great method. And then right back to the drawing board for the hard work.
Which is a long time for swimmers. So 15 seconds is a lot of time.
Hey, we appreciate your question there. I know we've got a few more there. Who's next?
Hello.
I'm Noah. I like swimming 200 breast. I was wondering, what is your guys' favorite junk food, and do you ever get to eat it?
Allison, why don't you take that one first? What's your favorite junk food, and do you actually get to eat it?
My favorite junk food is chocolate chip cookies, homemade chocolate chip cookies, right out of the oven. And eating the cookie dough as you're making the cookies I love to do. I try and eat very healthy, but I definitely have a sweet tooth, and I do allow myself to eat chocolate chip cookies I limit them, but I don't limit the sweets that I enjoy in my life.
Man, who doesn't love homemade chocolate chip cookies and eating the cookie dough? You know, you guys burn so much energy while you're swimming. How important is your diet?
Diet is really important in general. If you're an athlete or not an athlete, it's very important just to function. As for swimming, we fuel to perform, and we want to make sure we have the right nutrients in our bodies. I think that there's a misconception with swimming that we burn so many calories, but as swimmers, we're very efficient in the water, and we don't burn as many calories as someone who's a non-swimmer and jumps in the water doing the same practice as us. But I think all three of us can say that the biggest thing that we've learned is to make sure we nourish our body to the best that we can. And that's making sure we eat the right foods before practice, but then after practice and recovering with the right foods as well.
Yeah, and that's actually a great lesson. Diet is very important no matter what you're doing, what sports you're performing in, or even if just in everyday life. Diet is definitely very important. Thank you very much for that question. We appreciate that. Go get yourself some chocolate chip cookies. Who's next in there?
Hello, my name's Montero. I really love swimming the 50 meter freestyle. My question was, if you could do any other Olympic sport, which one would you choose?
Katie, any other Olympic sports on your list?
Ooh, well, growing up, I played a little bit of basketball and soccer, but I've also always been a big hockey fan, so maybe hockey, but I'm not good on ice, so that would take
your team, Katie?
A lot of practice. What's that, Shri?
Can I join your hockey team?
Oh, yes. I know we would be great. We would probably be falling all over the place, but we would help you with that.
A good
There's still a few months to the Winter Olympics. You can get your skates on.
Right, yeah, we'll get going on that.
Make that team. Zach, what about you? Any other sports?
Yeah, curling is I've been saying this for years. I want to try and see if I can make a run at curling. I have no idea how hard that actually is. But curling, I think, would be a lot of fun. And then like the luge or skeleton has always caught my eye. Like the bobsled, I always think like just going downhill that fast would be a lot of fun. So one of those sort of things. But definitely, I think I could do some curling.
Interesting. You guys both went to Winter Olympic sports. Going to cross over and get them both in there. Get both seasons in there. Hey, appreciate your question, man. I think we've got one more there.
Hi, I'm Addie. My favorite event is the 105. My question is, what type of cross training do you recommend?
Well, let's let the butterfly expert answer that one. Zach, what kind of cross training do you recommend?
Yeah, everyone had Katie got the distance freestyler. I was hoping for a butterflyer today. So thank you. I would say when I was younger, I was biking around a lot. I was biking around Redstone Arsenal. I spent most of my day in between morning and afternoon practices there over the summer, and I think that was kind of really beneficial. But I think anything that you enjoy that's active, like I like to go disc golfing, and so that's like a 2-mile hike while I'm playing for about 2 hours. So that just kind of keeps me active. And so anything that you enjoy outside of swimming would be good. So that would probably be something. That's my answer.
And Katie and Allison, any suggestions on out of the pool training?
Yeah, I mean, I think all three of us do both swim training and what we call dry land training, which can be any number of things. It can be as simple as riding your bike. It can be lifting weights. It can be other kind of dry land training, running. But it's all kind of set by our coaches these days since we're training at this level. When we were younger, it was kind of more of just staying active and maybe playing other sports and doing other things as well. But now we're kind of on a more regimented schedule. And so personally, I do weights 3 times a week and dryland twice a week, in addition to my swim training. But I would say listen to your coaches.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they're there. Allison, what about you? What type of dryland training do you participate in?
Mine is very similar to Katie's. I have weights 3 times a week, and the other 3 days I do some abs and cardio. But yeah, I just suggest being active, and I think we learned a lot about that during the pandemic as pools were closed and we didn't have that accessibility. So just being active and getting outside is a huge advantage, especially if you're not able to get into a pool that day.
Guys, Camp Foster, appreciate you joining us here on the USO MVP. Many thanks. You guys stay safe and happy, and good luck in your swimming careers.
Go Dragons.
Yeah, go Dragons. I like that. Zach, Katie, and Allison, question for you from the chat box here. How do you keep your stamina up after swimming for a long time? And that comes from Abigail Machow at KD High School. Guys, any special tricks on keeping stamina up?
Training. We've definitely been in this sport. All of us have been in it for maybe decades. And just going to practice and listening to those coaches. Of course, it's a program that we have not always done doubles our whole entire life, but we built up to it. And now I'm doing 9 swim practices a week. And that was definitely built up. At some points in my careers, I was doing triples. So we'd get in the water 3 times a day, and we'd have dryland another day. So that's 4 practices in one day. But just listening to the plan, our coaches are the scientists. And so listen to the coaches because they know more than we know, and making sure you keep that communication up with how your body's reacting to the training.
Zach, any advice on stamina?
Yeah, I was watching Katie's face when Schmitt said she had 4 practices a day, and it was just pure like, oh my gosh. Yeah, I would say like Schmitt was saying, kind of like ease into it. Like, don't just try and jump in and try to just have the best stamina in the world. Like, pick a starting point, be consistent with it, train it, and then slowly, like week by week, add an extra practice or add an extra 1,000 yards or something like that. My family, I would always get injured at the beginning of the season, so it's kind of become a joke, but we always say, like, ease into it. And if you're doing something new, ease into it and then build up. So,
and Katie, is there a way to, as Zach says, ease into swimming? Because it seems to be a unique sport where you're going full blast every time. It doesn't matter if it's practice or competition because you're always trying to get that time. Is there a way to ease into swimming?
I think there is. I think, again, you have to rely on your coaches for the guidance there. But I think over the course of a season, there's quite a few months in a season, usually a swim season. And if you can just take that first month and make sure you're kind of building into the training. So whether you're swimming 9 or 10 practices a week, like we are, maybe you start out with only 5 or 6, and then you build up to 7 or 8. And eventually you're in your full schedule. So that's kind of what I typically do at the beginning of a season to ease into it. And I think the biggest thing to just have stamina too over the course of a season or a year or a swimming career is just to keep it fun and to make sure that you're always having fun in the sport and doing things that are challenging you and keeping things fresh, and just make sure that you're in a happy spot and really enjoying what you're doing. And if you aren't, then switch it up.
That's where Zach comes in, to keep the mood light, get his teammates laughing, keep that morale up. I like it.
Exactly.
All right, guys, time to go to our second live location, another high school in Japan. This is Edgren High School in Misawa Air Force Base in Japan. Guys, will you please join us? Hello.
Good morning from Misawa Air Force Base in Japan. We are an Air Force base, but we also have Marine, Army, and Navy families here. Today, we're coming to you from Edgren High School. Behind me is our Misawa Sharks community team, which includes our elementary students and high school students. Thank you for having us today.
All right, we just had the Dragons. Now it's Go Sharks. Who's the first shark up with a question for one of our Olympians?
Hello, my name is Emma Hockren. I'm 13 years old and I grew up in Coronado, California. My favorite event is the 50 backstroke. My question for you is, what was your reaction to finding out you made it on the Olympic team?
Allison, let's start with you. How did you react when you found out that you had made your first Olympic team?
I think I just had a grin from ear to ear, and I was like, wow, this is cool. I have no idea what this means, but I know that I got top 2, and this is really exciting. So I was really ecstatic, and I had no idea what the journey was going to be like, but I was all in for it.
And Katie, I think you were only a couple years older than our question asker there when you made your first Olympic team. How did that feel?
I was 15 years old when I made my first Olympic team, and it felt amazing. I really, like Schmitt, had no idea what to expect when I headed off to the Olympics, but luckily I was on a team with people like Schmitt and other veterans in the sport that had been to the Olympics before, and so they really showed me the ropes and made me feel comfortable. But I just think I had a grin ear to ear the whole time and just had so much fun. And I'll never forget touching the wall and realizing I had made the Olympic team.
Zach, what about you? You just recently made your first Olympic team. That feeling must be very, very new in your mind. Did you do anything special to celebrate?
Oh, yeah. I sat on the lane line because I saw Kieran Smith when he won. He sat on the lane line. I said, that looks like a lot of fun. So I was like, I'm going to do that. So I sat on the lane line. I screamed and splashed in the pool. And then I got out and I went and hugged my parents, my sister, and my girlfriend. And then I went around and gave high fives to all my teammates. And then once I walked off deck, then I got to give all the rest of my teammates a hug down there. But just trying to celebrate with everyone that helped get me there. And trying to share that moment because it wasn't just me that got me there. It was the Army behind me.
That's awesome that you had your family right there to celebrate as soon as you found out. Very, very cool. Great question there. Thank you very much. Who's next?
Hi, my name is Zach Bell. I'm 11 years old and from Auckland, New Zealand. My favorite event is the relay medley. And my question for you is, how far do you swim in a week without competition?
Well, Zach, let's let Zach answer that.
Yeah, you got an excellent name. Your parents did a fantastic job. Let's see. I think 6 practice. I swim 9 practices a week at roughly 5 to 6 grand on average. So 9 times 6, 54,000 yards ish, give or take, depending on the week. More during a summer of long course, and a little bit less sometimes during like the fall and spring when we're doing college training and short course prepping for when they're prepping for ACCs and NCAAs. We have a little bit more power-based stuff, so that's not as much yardage. But I'd say about 50 to 60 grand.
Katie, is that about average?
Yeah, no, I mean, I probably do between 50 to 70,000, pretty similar, 9 to 10 practices a week, between 6,000 to 8,000 yards or meters per practice. So you do the math, Zach. It's about.
I'm an engineer.
And Allison, what about you? Pretty similar?
This is the same, yes.
Yeah, it's a lot of swimming. It's a lot of reps in the pool, and
a lot of
that's all
swimming
based
for
on,
just a couple minute races, you know.
Yeah, and based on dedication to that training, you know, you have to put in the hours, and that's really what you don't see when you're watching them competing at the Olympics, are all of the hours and all of the yards and meters that they put in leading up to that moment. Zach, great question, man. Appreciate you. Who's next there?
Hello, my name is Stella Green. I am 12 years old. My favorite stroke is backstroke. My state is Seattle, Washington. And my question is, what was your favorite place you competed?
All right, Zach, since we got another backstroker, we'll start with you. Favorite place that you competed?
Ooh, Ireland was fun. And we got to see Avengers after the meet. Avengers 2 had just come out. That was also my first international trip. So I learned a lot there. It was a beautiful country, and just some great memories from that. So I'm going to go Ireland.
Allison, what about you? Favorite place to compete?
Mine was Rome, because there were people were showing up to cheer that had no idea about the sport of swimming. And it was so loud in the stadium. It was also a very hot summer day. but the energy that the crowd was giving us was insane. And so that was one of my favorite places to swim in.
Katie, what about you? Do you have a favorite place that you've competed?
I think I would have to say London. It was the site of my first Olympics, and it was my first time ever traveling internationally for a swim meet. So I just always kind of hold a special place in my heart for London. And it's one city that I really want to get back to and see more of, because I didn't get to see very much of it when we were competing.
That's pretty amazing to have your first international competition be the Olympics in London. That's very, very special memory there. Thank you for that question. I know we've got a couple more there.
My name is Christopher Herrera. I'm 16 years old. I'm from San Antonio, Texas. My favorite stroke is freestyle. And my question for you is, how do you deal with the nerves that could arise from competing in high-level competitions?
Allison, you're the most experienced at the Olympic level. How do you deal with the nerves of such a high-profile event?
Understanding that sport is just a small part of life, and there's a lot more to life than your performance. Those closest to you and those that are cheering for you are going to love you no matter how you perform, if you add 10 seconds or you get a best time. So there's a lot more to life than sport. Of course, you want to do your best and you're going to try your best, but as long as you know that you truly gave your best on that day and you prepared the best to the best of your ability, all you can do is either celebrate within the 5 minutes or be disappointed within those 5 minutes, and you can learn from both those celebrations and the disappointments and get ready for your next one, because no matter how you do, good or bad, life still goes on.
Zach, any special methods for dealing with the stress?
Yeah, at trials, I would wake up the morning of, hours before my alarm, chest was beating out of my heart. By the time I got to racing, like, I was nauseous and super, like, I was just don't twitch and false start on the block, and had like all these scenarios running through my mind on the what if this and what if that. And when people asked me, my teammates and coaches asked me how I was doing, I was like, I'm not good. I'm super nervous. And so I kind of put it on them. And then they kind of told me, like, look, dude, you're ready. You've done the training. You're prepared. Just go out there and swim the thing. And it'll take care of itself. And so I just think that being open, because people don't know if they can help you if you don't let them know that you need help, which doesn't necessarily just apply to swimming and racing. But I thought that was really helpful, because I spent a lot of time with my teammates and my coaches, so I trusted them to help me out when I needed their help, and they got me through.
Katie, you've been in so many scenarios where you are approaching a record, for instance, both individual and team records. Are you aware of the situation, and does that heighten the stress? And if so, do you have a method where you deal with the stress presented to you?
I try not to think much about records. I don't swim for the records or have that in mind. If I'm trying to break a certain record, I'm really just focused on the time or going a best time or something like that. I'm not thinking about, oh, I want to break a world record or break an American record. So that's the biggest thing, to keep my mind off of it. And then I don't think it really heightens the stress when you're at the big competition, because I've already been thinking about it for a while. I've already had that as my goal for a really long time. I think the only thing that maybe gets the nerves going is kind of the excitement and the atmosphere and the cheering and just being at the pool where you know you're going to compete. But I can't give any better answer than what Zach and Allison gave on how to manage those nerves. It's all just about relying on your teammates and coaches and asking for support and laughing and joking with your teammates. Allison and I did a lot of that this past summer just to keep things light around the pool deck and around our suite and things like that. So I think as long as you can keep things light and, as Allison said, remember the big picture that swimming is just a small part of life, even though we're at the biggest stage, we're at the Olympics. We all started swimming just for fun and because we enjoyed being in the water. So just remembering why we started and how we started, I think, always keeps us calm.
That's great advice. And Sharks, I think we have one more question there for our swimmers.
Hello, my name is Alexander Bingaman. I'm 10 years old. I'm from Niceville, Florida. My favorite stroke is freestyle. My question for you is, what is the strangest pre-ritual you've ever seen before a race?
Allison, any strange pre-race rituals that you've witnessed?
So on Zach's first international meet, he carried a gasoline tank, those big red gasoline tanks, as his water bottle. I thought that was pretty strange, but it was really cool.
That's true. I did do that.
What's the story there?
He also always finds an interesting way to get into the pool for warm-up. So whether that's getting on the starting block and doing a handstand and then a flip into the pool. I saw a lot of that this past summer. Zach, I think you have to share all your stories because I can't think of anyone else besides you that's done something interesting before a race.
So I think that getting in the water is sometimes the hardest part of practice. So I hate to just dive in. It's like, that's too boring for me. It's like, if we're going to do the hardest part of practice, let's make it exciting. So one of my favorites is the handstand. Don't try this at home. Sorry, coach. Don't try this, but the handstands into the pool. I've done flips, runners. That's just how I like. It's a fun way to get in the pool. The gas can, I was at a concert by the band's name was Avatar. They're from Sweden. And the guy on stage was drinking out of a gas can. I was like, that is absolutely nuts. And then I was like thinking, I was at my career where I needed to put all my eggs into one basket because I wasn't good enough to go pro. And I was about to graduate college. So I was like, if I want to be able to go pro, then I need to be absolutely nuts at practice. And so I went out and got a 1-gallon gas tank from Home Depot. There was never any gasoline in it. So I just filled it with water and some ice. And that's kind of like reset me every day at practice of what I was there to do. But yeah, little gimmicks like that I think are a lot of fun. And it kind of like, as long as it's personal to you, it kind of reminds you why you're there and then helps you out throughout practice and even the competition. So. And
is there a little bit of a psych out factor there too? And, you see one of your competitors drinking out of a gas can before the meet, it could make you wonder and perhaps give that guy a slight psychological advantage.
Well, I guarantee you were there thinking that guy is absolutely nuts. And I was. That was the first time I made my first big my first A team for USA, and I got to go to Pan Pacs, and I got a bronze that year. So it worked.
All right. Well, Edgren High School and Misawa Air Base in Japan, thank you guys so much. Go Sharks. Good luck with your swimming careers. We appreciate you joining us here on the USO MVP.
Bye, Sharks.
That was some great questions there. Go Sharks indeed. Guys, got one from the chat box for you here. Rachel Gilgoyle, who is at Daegu Elementary School in South Korea. She is the Dudia Teacher of the Year. And she'd like to know, at what age did you know that you wanted to swim competitively? Katie, probably pretty young for you.
Well, I started swimming when I was 6 years old for a summer league swim team, the Palisades Porpoises, and I really loved it that first summer, and so I started swimming year-round that fall. And I played other sports growing up until I was about 11 or 12, but around 11 or 12, that's when I started to really get serious about my swimming and started realizing that I was qualifying for bigger and bigger meets and that I really wanted to put all of my sports energy into my swimming. So I started picking swim practice over basketball and soccer practice if the two were at the same time. And so it was around that age, but really I didn't believe that I could go to the Olympics, or I didn't have that as a goal or a dream when I first started swimming. It really just happened as I started qualifying for bigger and bigger meets that Olympic trials was the next meet that I wanted to qualify for. And once I did that, I worked my way up to making the Olympic team. So it wasn't like a lot of swimmers where they maybe had that dream right from the start when they first started swimming. It was kind of a progression and something that I really fell in love with and wanted to pursue as much as I could and give everything I had.
Allison, what about you? What age were you when you realized that you wanted to swim competitively?
joined a swim team at 9, almost 10 years old. And at 12 years old, I was a huge soccer player. I thought I was the next Mia Hamm. And at 12 years old, I didn't make the soccer team I wanted to make. And swimming was a non-cut sport. So I decided I'd go to more swim practices. And then I didn't know that you could swim past high school. I didn't know about the Olympics. And at 16, when I found out that, this is something I can do in college, I can go to university for this, was a huge eye-opener. And then 2 years later after that, 2008 Olympic trials, I mean, I never had dreams of going to the Olympics, so I didn't even know about Olympic trials. But I mean, seeing number 2 next to my name and making the team in the 200 free was unbelievable. And like I said at the very beginning, any time you get to represent America is a complete honor.
Zach, what about you? What age were you?
I started swimming when I was 7. I always liked being around the pool, so I actually learned how to swim in Guam. And my dad was working for Sikorsky out there, and so we moved back stateside, and my mom signed me up to go swim for the Madison Dolphins. Not the I've never heard a team called the Porpoises before, so that was interesting from Katie. But yeah, I was 7. I enjoyed it, knew nothing about how the sport worked. I was swimming in exhibition heats and winning them, thinking I was winning the whole event. Had no clue that's not how it worked. I did have the traditional dream of going to the Olympics. I think the 2004 Olympics were that year that I started swimming. So that was my dream at 7. And then by like 8, 9, and 10, I was really enjoying it. And then by like 11 or 12, I was like, I would like to swim in college. Knew nothing what that looked like. And then by like 14, 15, 16, I was like, I can't swim in college.
Katie, this comes from Michael Pope. What advice would you give to a student who aspires to continue with sports beyond high school?
I would say go for it. I think that's awesome. And that's something that Allison, Zach, and I, we all did. And we both pursued our swimming career through college and beyond. And we also got our degree and studied as well. And so I would encourage all of the young students out there to keep working hard, both in the classroom and in the pool or whatever sport or whatever pursuit you really enjoy, whether that's, again, a sport or swimming, or whether that's playing an instrument or doing some other activity. I think if you find something you're really passionate about, you should go for it and set some big goals for yourself, whether that's making the Olympics or swimming in college, or at maybe a short-term goal of just getting better at a certain stroke or a certain event. I think those are all really valuable things. And I would really encourage this student to give it a go and try to continue your studies and your swimming career through college.
That's great advice. Guys, thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun today. And I want to let you know that there are people joining us from 14 different locations. They're coming in from the Dodia schools in the Pacific region: Virginia, Kentucky, Texas, Italy, Nevada, Germany, California, Georgia, New Jersey, Colorado, Mississippi, Japan, Alabama, Wisconsin, South Korea, Maryland, Guam, Zach, Hawaii, Ohio, North Carolina, Louisiana, and Florida. So everybody is really enjoying you guys coming on the USO MVP today. And before we close it out, I want to give each one of you an opportunity to offer some words of encouragement and support to those joining us. Zach, let's start with you.
Yeah, so I thought it was really eye-opening at our first school when they said that they travel every 3 years. So I just want to say thank you to all the military families, whether you're actively serving or you're just part of the family. Thank you for doing that for us. I know that I've certainly enjoyed the freedoms that have come with the sacrifice there. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. My parents, my dad served, my mom, they both work at Redstone Arsenal. So I grew up on the military base. So I kind of get it. I didn't have to travel a whole bunch, but I just want to say thank you.
Appreciate that, Zach. Allison?
I see you guys, and I appreciate the services, both active veterans and the military family. I know that there's a lot of sacrifice and hard work that is put into it. Just like us all, we know that there's support all around us. It's not just us competing, but you guys make it possible for us to compete, and you guys make us proud Americans. So thank you for your services, and go USA.
Thanks, Allison. And Katie, you're next.
Yeah, I'll echo what Zach and Allison have said. Both my grandfathers served. My grandfather on my mom's side was a Navy surgeon in World War II, assigned to the 1st Marine Division. My other grandfather was in the Army, and I recently had 2 cousins serve in Afghanistan and Iraq. And I've just got to tell you all a big thank you for your service, all the servicemen and women that are on the call here today, and all of your families. I know how much sacrifice and how much work you've put into serving our country and allowing us to go off and compete and represent Team USA. We're all one big Team USA, and we support you, and we're so honored to have your support as well when we're off competing. And it's something that we talk about when we're competing, and we want to make everyone back in the US and around the world, everyone that's representing the US, we want to make you all proud. And I hope that we were able to do that because you all make us very, very proud.
We appreciate that, Katie. And yes, you did make us very, very proud, and everybody had a fantastic time watching you guys competing on behalf of our country last summer in Tokyo. Zach Harting, Katie Ledecky, Allison Schmitt, thank you so much for joining us here at the USO MVP. Really, really appreciate you. Good luck and congratulations on all of your accomplishments.